All right, thank you very much. Glad to be here. How many people have heard of Little Free Library before this? All right, I love you. How many people use Little Free Libraries? All right. The big question, is anybody here a steward? Ooh, we got a lot of change in here now. I want to tell you, California started really slow, and I was really disappointed. When I started this, it's like no noise out of California, you know, the Midwest, Iowa, Chicago, Minnesota, Portland, Seattle, they're all moving. California is like this. But last year, California was growing faster, 4 times faster than any state in the union with Little Free Libraries. So you picked it up and you're getting in the lead. So I'm impressed with that. So I'm always thrilled to be in a room full of the noblest folks, the best profession, those that pass the torch to the next generation. I'm always pleased, I'm always impressed. And also with this group, which is unique, is I spent 30 years mostly in international business. My specialty is international business development, specializing in designing economically compelling, mission-driven models. And I would get hired by multinationals to come in and design something in a developing country. And for most of my life, when I tried to explain to what the people I did, nobody understood. And so in a group like this, it's wonderful that I actually have fellow model designers. At a Little Free Library, like most of the things I've done, we're a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit, and we're 90% earned income, 10% donation, which basically means that most of the money we get to run the organization, it's about a $2.5 million organization with 16 people, and for me, that's a big organization. It just started simply on a deck outside in Wisconsin about this size, right here. And for the first 2 years, we didn't make any money at all. And I was thinking of throwing it in because we only moved 1 library in 1 year. And I thought this was probably a dumb idea. And my older brothers, by the way, also told me it's a dumb idea. The stupidest thing they've ever heard of. And so I wasn't doing very well, but I got invited to a library presentation in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And a gentleman in the audience was from Walmart. And he heard me and he asked me, he said, would you come see me? And he said, I really love what you're about and your brand, and I'd like to put you in all the Walmart stores. And I thought, oh, okay. I said, let me think. And I said, 1, I said, you'd cause me to import all my Little Free Libraries, and they're recycled, made by local builders, etc. It's kind of not us. And I said, 2, we'd become a commodity, and we'd lose our image of Little Free Libraries, this grassroots movement. And then what I really thought in the back of my mind is that he would basically crush us and we'd lose all our identity. Little Free Library and Walmart is Walmart. So I said no to him. And of course, my business friends thought that was another stupid move. And about 2 weeks later, I got a note from my nephew, and he said, hey, check out Michael Moore's Facebook page. Michael Moore's like really pushing Little Free Library, saying it's his New Year's resolution, he's way behind it. So I thought to myself, Michael Moore? Walmart, who by the way has custom Little Free Libraries, they're both fans. And I figured if you had Walmart and you had Michael Moore, you got 98% of the country. So maybe this was a good idea. So the end of 2010 was coming by, and I'd moved 1 Little Free Library like I told you. And I thought, oh boy, I'm gonna put these 30 libraries out in my backyard in the snow. And then I was listening to a piece on public radio, and it came up and it said, it was talking about Martin Luther King. And it was talking and it said, Martin Luther King was asked, what would you do if you're gonna die tomorrow? And he said he'd plant a seed. He'd plant a seed. So I took those 30 Little Free Libraries and I gave them away. And I planted them like seeds in strategic places in Minnesota and Wisconsin mainly, and it grew. I just got back from the Philippines on Wednesday, okay? And unbeknownst to most of you, I hope, I've been sneaking away for a nap because I still have jet lag, and in the middle of the day, I'm exhausted, so I sneak a little nap. But when I was in the Philippines, I've been to the Philippines about 50 times over the years. I've done a lot of projects and worked for the different universities, etc. We signed an agreement to put in 500,000 little free libraries, one in every classroom, and we're creating a little free library system that includes the library, 1,000 books. It includes best practices in the Philippines for teaching tutors. It also includes workshops and ongoing support and storytelling, et cetera, et cetera. And when we were trying to model this out, we pull that off in the Philippines, that would be 500 million more books a year. That would mean every person in the Philippines would read 5 more books. And it would totally change everything. So I want to talk a little bit how we got there. So the Little Free Library has a book. Amazon.com, littlefreelibrary.org. And what they say about the book, the spirit of Little Free Library, LA Times said, this is almost perfect literary democracy. St. Paul paper said that this is pint-sized social justice. San Francisco paper, San Francisco Gate, said it is one of America's better exports. I'm particularly proud of that. And you of my generation will appreciate this especially, but Amazon.com said, this is the best book since the 1970s Whole Earth Catalog because it promises so much hope and so much future. It's a better side of us. I was at a conference similar to this, a reading conference in Wisconsin. We were receiving the Wisconsin Reading Organization of the Year. And behind me I get tapped. And it was former Governor Doyle of Wisconsin. And he said to me, you know, Todd, what's going on in America right now, that's not us. We're not this divisive. We're not this polarized. He said, Little Free Library is more about who we are. We reach across the aisle, we reach across the street, we pick each other up, we make their lives better. We don't care who they are, but we want to improve their lives. He said, that's who we are. And he further went on to talk to me about the idea of the media. He said, you know, we love and hate the media, but oftentimes what happens, they prefer to report on destabilizing events. They report on destabilizing events, and then they pull the polarities from both sides of those destabilizing events and use those people as spokesmen. So we end up getting a skewed view of who we are, polarized views that are fighting, and this is not what I see as America. This is not what I see at all. This is what I see as America. My mom, right there. That's my mom, June. She was a perpetual teacher. We always had, she taught in a one-room schoolhouse, and she always had kids in the house. She only taught 2 years, but really she taught forever. Because anytime I'd come home from college or high school or later in my life, there'd be a kid sitting at the table who would be getting tutored by my mom. She was known in the neighborhood as the one that would help you. So she died, and like most of us, we're overwhelmed when our parents die. We can't believe it happened. And I spoke at her funeral. And I spoke 2 big themes. One is there's an old Sioux Indian saying that says, no one really passes until all they've touched are gone. And the second thing is it's an old colonial tradition to give a gift. So I gave a small little necklace that said, June A. Bowl, a dancing spirit, 1927 through. And what happened is people were delighted, and my mom, dance lived on, and I made that one-room schoolhouse in her honor, filled it with books, and people came up to it, and they talked to it like it was a new little puppy. They took pictures, they took selfies, they were delighted. That's how it started. Now, what we try to do with Little Free Library, see that's Hudson, Wisconsin right there, and that map right up here? That's the galactic headquarters of Little Free Library. And our job is we come up with models and ideas, and what really it is, there's a story of Martin Luther King that he was in a protest, and the media pulled him over and said, started interviewing him, and after 5 minutes, Martin Luther King said, "Excuse me, I have to go, I have to, find my followers." And what it really was saying is that a movement like this is really made up of followers who are leaders. And Little Free Library, what our job is we capture the wisdom from around the world from these stewards. We're in 50,000 Little Free Libraries. We gave that away in Santa Ana, California. And at 50,000 Little Free Libraries, at a mere 2 books a day, that's 100,000 books in one day, times 365, that's 36.5 million. New York library system, our largest system, is 27 million. We're almost 10 million larger than the largest system. 1 person, 1 vote, 1 little library. We've been in the media over 30,000 times and seen by over 50 billion people. We're in the media about 100 times plus every day. 25% of it is typically radio, TV, newspaper. The rest is social media. It's delighted people across the land. It's made local heroes all over the world. Important thing that Little Free Library delivers is book access. As you most likely know, the most important thing for children is to have access of books and have modeling of books to make the difference. And Little Free Library is big in that. Go to our website, littlefreelibrary.org. You'll find over 40,000 photos from across the globe of things like this. There's the tornado, I do believe. And it's just delightful. 60% of the people make their own Little Free Library. 40% of the people support the nonprofit and get them from us. Community. Little Free Library sparks community across the globe, brings people together. We've been told it's a front porch that extends all the way to the sidewalk. We've been told that they've met more people in the last 5 days than I have in 30 years. We hear it time and time again. Little Free Library, I think, is a better side of us. It sparks that piece of us, that primal piece of us that wants to connect and feel good about their neighbors, okay? I'm gonna whip through this. We're across the globe. What I really didn't get enough time to talk about, and I'll do it very fast, is the programs we're doing. We have something called Action Book Club, where we identify books that have community engagement, and we go out and people read them and go out and fix something. You can join the Action Book Club. We also have something called Kids, Community, and Cops. It's our efforts to put a Little Free Library in every single police station across the country to build community, bring it together. We're doing something coming up called Book-A-Ween, where kids on May 20th dress up in costumes of literary characters and go to their neighbors and get a free book. Before the summer slide, you could participate. We're prototyping it this year with the hopes of launching it with the CBC, with the Children's Book Council next year. So, and you could model it and do it any way you want. That's one of the great things about Little Free Library, is you absolutely can do what you want, how you want it, and make it appropriate for your community. Manila, we now produce Little Free Libraries in Manila for the Philippines. They have little panels on the side that the kids can take out, paint, change, put new panels in, change them, make them exactly the way they want. That is our 50,000th Little Free Library in Santa Ana. By the way, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, across the board are doing Little Free Libraries. Girl Scouts are winning, by the way. And Little Free Library is about 90% women, mostly moms of any age. Part of our LAPD has a Little Free Library in every single precinct across the city. There's a reason you're starting to have more Little Free Libraries than anywhere else. I got a call from that reporter right there in Detroit. She said, I'm tired of Detroit being the murder capital of the country. I want to have more little free libraries than anybody else. Now she has 400 that she's driven throughout Detroit. I just delivered 97 to their school department. Local hero. Madison, if you catch her on YouTube, she's had over 1 million hits. She's just the sweetest, divine girl from Cleveland. This woman right here, across the Ukraine, she does stories about community. They write the book, they illustrate it, they bound it, and they move to the next town. And she's done this over 1,000 times across the Ukraine. Oh, last one, catch that. I love that. You gotta see, what is that? It's a sweater. Everybody should knit a sweater for their little free library. Building community, sparking creativity, inspiring readers who inspire readers who inspire readers. That's what a little free library is. Thank you.